Please welcome the amazing Turiya Autry.
So I recently, well, not so recently now, almost a year ago, I moved from Portland. I packed up my apartment, I got rid of my furniture, I put some things in storage that are mostly still there, and with a few suitcases and a duffel bag, I just started trekking around the country and mostly focusing on the South, an area that I hadn't really been before. So that is what I've been up to. So I'm not really in Portland very often. So thank you all so much for coming out. It's a pleasure to see you. And I hope that also while I'm here, you will consider, I have some lovely books here. And I just want to do a plug, because your purchasing of books will help me continue on my journey back to the South. So I want to share some poems, and they're actually fairly fresh. So not a lot of people have heard them. And in fact, I think I'm going to share something with you guys that I haven't shared with anyone yet. Which means that if you hear it a few months from now, it might have changed. So when I come to Portland, I stay with my father. I love him. But it also means that as a grown-up, I'm very much an adult, but now I'm on my dad's couch. And it gives me a little bit of cognitive dissonance, but I'm surviving. But I love my dad, and I realized I hadn't really ever written a poem for him. And this is the beginnings of that poem. Dear Father, of the closed windows and practical wisdom, talented fingers that leave landmarks throughout the house of what two hands guided by brilliance can create. Shining form and function. I see you when I open a cabinet, a drawer, your design and intention, the refrain of order in the chaos, these closed off spaces that are home to you, to sustenance, planned in pantries stocked with extra, finding freedom in the smallest of confines. I hear you in your collections of music, over horns and piano, a snare and a kick drum, winding on a long drive, a different path to vary the scenery. Stay unpredictable as a jazz improv that somehow always finds home. So this one will tell you a little bit about where I'm at and what's going on in my world. All right, this is called Muscle Memory. And maybe you're always broken. So you get the glue, the stitches, the x-ray, the cast, the physical therapy, make the lifestyle changes, and you feel healed. But somewhere under all that is still the fracture, the points of weakness, the susceptible places that will always be prone to re-injury. So you move through the world fragile, like the slightest shock will shatter you, and maybe this time, the surgery, the open wounds, they won't take to recovery since the symptoms are now immune to the antibiotics because you've been treating the wound so long already. And you can't amputate your heart. Remove it from its cavity, place it in a fridge to be reattached later like a dismembered digit. You can't cut it out for being the root of an infection that seems to only make you weaker as time goes on. There are no braces to strengthen the heart's position, so it will stop falling over and over again, as if heights aren't dangerous to leap from in this world of jagged edges and cold, hard ground. You learn to love again. But after a history of hurt and failure, why would this time be different when the grooves in the well-trodden path are visible even in the dark on the circular journey that inevitably leads to loss? People draw symmetrical hearts. They paint them pink and purple with flowers, rainbows, unicorns, and carved initials. But have you seen an actual heart? We dissected a bovine one in high school anatomy class. It wasn't pretty. A lumpy organ with calcified edges, difficult to cut through, aorta and vena cava at each end, ventricles and valves wrapped in muscle like it knew it had to be tough to keep beating in the face of everything else. It looked nothing like a Valentine's Day card. An unfitting container to attempt to store love in the first place, like it could just filter out the impurities, excrete them forward like foreign substances unfit to be housed there or in the human anatomy at all. I thought if I unloaded the weight of my burdens, changed my diet of disaster, it would create space, an opening, a clear artery for love to enter through, and I would be fit enough to recover. But the hemorrhaging happened anyway, when love proved too much to squeeze back into an 8-ounce organ. I wish I had done the math before I sawed open my chest, cracked apart my ribs, and attempted to make it fit. I should have studied the failure rates of open heart surgery instead of hoping for a miracle. I wasn't squeamish of the blood. I had a high threshold for pain. I knew how to cut with precision, like angry tongues, sharp as razors. I even knew how to suture myself back together, but the actual mending? How do you learn to heal when the muscle memory only recalls the damage? Not the healthy times that date so far back, like childhood remembrances of being licked by the sandpaper tongue of a kitten for the first time, back when you hadn't healed yet because it was before being broken. And the points of damage are the strongest flashbacks. And the healthy tissue is a minuscule remainder, a blurred recollection of a beginning you don't know how to return to. Let's see. I have a funny thing that I like to, oh yes, sweet. So for most of this month that just passed, I was actually up in the mountains and Sisters, Oregon, with a handful of other artists, two of which are in the room. Yay, I'm so glad you're here. And we were working on art and other cool things. And one of the things that I did while I was out there is I blogged. I do have a blog. On occasion, I add things to there. It's not with any sense of true regularity. But if you ever visit my website and I have business cards, I'm more than happy to give you. It's just my name, TuriyaAutry.com. You can read more. But I want to share a part of this blog, and it's called Things to Know About Breakups. There are positives. 1. When I'm in an exclusive relationship, I generally have to avoid Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. My holding on to a pic of him and gazing at it too long, watching his movies, etc., it could classify as emotional cheating because I start imagining the two of our lives together as a couple. Well, we did have this one time together that I will never forget. He and I went on a date. I'm wearing this smoking hot red dress. Dwayne "The Rock" arrives all handsome and suited. He tells me how incredible I look, and he comes in for one of those long, deep kisses, those chiseled arms wrapped around me. And later, he's opening the car door for me, and he gives me a confident smack on the behind. You know, one of those, he can do that because we've established it's his, and we will be handling that later. You know, that kind of smack. And I think how lovely it is that we are this comfortable couple now. So I wake up before I go further. But seriously, after every breakup, Dwayne appears. In a picture, a new movie release, he reminds me not to forget about him. Case in point. The very next day after the breakup, I found this picture of him while clipping magazines for collages. I want to make sure everyone sees it. Okay? And, I mean, is there any clearer message than this? But my point is, sorry, The Rock gets me a little distracted, but my point is that now I can keep this picture of my one celebrity crush out in the open. I can admire it and feel no guilt. Thank you, breakup, for giving me back The Rock and for this picture, which affirms my long-held belief that my kitty would be in great hands with you. I'm going to do a couple short pieces. Simple days of youth. Find me running through sprinklers on summer afternoons, rivulets of cold water escaping wet curls, clinging cotton to skin. an image of childhood summer. Dirt bikes with playing cards dancing over spokes to announce my arrival. A grinning German shepherd pulling me along at high speeds for blocks, leash taut around my wrist, me refusing to let go, my tennis shoe feet struggling to keep up on this so-called walk. Simple times. Before we knew fear, when laughter came easy, and when grabbing enough change in time to catch the ice cream truck equaled accomplishment. This is called Resurrecting Love. How do you explain to a lover the empty spaces, the sense of abandonment that never departs, a gaping hole like an excavated grave? I stare at the open cavity calling me home. How do we live while facing the chasm? Buried under decades of neglect, my heart might crumble like ash in your hands. So this will be my third poem, and for this one I'm gonna do a piece called Consent. As a survivor, every story of abuse is a trigger. The recounting of trauma in the news and on social media reopens wounds that I am still healing. And I know I am but one of an immense statistic that seems to swallow us all. And today I don't want to talk about my pain or dwell in my past. I want to rewrite my present as a walk through a newfound Eden, a land where I am whole and know love, joy, and the beauty of consensual sex. I'm working hard to let go of the years of baggage that took up so much space in previous relationships. I've shorn my past like cut curls laying on the salon floor. It took 4 cycles of every cell in my body regenerating to let loose the imprint of my childhood pain. 3 cycles to even call what happened to me in high school and college assault. And after coming into this new body and naming my past, I am learning to escape its shadow and find love for self in the sunlight of my own creation. And for the first time, I've come to my lover feeling whole. And he rocks my fucking world. And when we make love, I leave no room for uncertainty in my desires. I say, yes, 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 over as he slides in and out of me like a magician, making orgasms materialize like brightly colored stars from the depths. I love you, I whisper in his ear as he cups my breast. To let him know he is invited and welcome. Just like that, I whisper in his ear. I exclaim it when he finds new ways to please me and reaches those spots that make my back arch, and I reciprocate like exploring his body is a calling I can't help but answer. I tell him how I want it, which seems to be all the time. God, you feel so fucking good, I moan. As his tempo accelerates, his breath grows faster, and we tumble over the edge and wrapped up in each other, sweaty, skin touching skin across the length of our naked bodies. We hold each other, joined as one, and we kiss. We cuddle, we smile, and then we share stories and laughter in the dark like childhood friends sleeping over before finally closing our eyes. And this is the best sex. This mutual desire and pleasure, this freedom of expression, this gift of intimacy we celebrate like every day is a holiday we created. And like the best meals, sometimes we have seconds and even thirds if our appetites are voracious. I want all sex to be that which is had with a resounding, consensual yes, exuberant, abandon, and reciprocity. And as I read daily reports of mishandling and abuse of something so sacred, so powerful, I want to remind everyone how hot, passionate, consensual, mutual sex is. And if it's not an established, resounding yes from your partner, pause, stop, step back, rethink your choices, and reevaluate how you get off, because there is enough damage and suffering in the world. We do not need to inflict more. How can you enter someone disrespectfully without disrespecting yourself? Look, You don't have to be in love, but be loving. Don't waste his time or her time with games and cruelty. Be honest. Be about joy, love for self, and love for others. And if you can't do that, then go fuck yourself. I mean, literally, go fuck yourself. Because you are not ready to be with somebody else.